In the bustling heart of Lagos, Nigeria, where the endless traffic hums with life and the cityscape stretches far into the sky, two women shared a bond that seemed unbreakable. Zara and Nia lived in the same high-rise building, just a few floors apart. Their apartments were not only neighbors in space, but also in their hearts. The city's relentless energy echoed through the walls of their homes, but it was the quiet moments of friendship that filled their lives with meaning. Lagos was the city of dreams for both Zara and Nia. Zara was a passionate fashion designer with a keen eye for design and a natural flair for the dramatic. She had grown up in a small, humble neighborhood in the city, but from an early age, she knew she was destined for something bigger. She spent countless hours sketching designs, dreaming of one day having her own boutique. Zara's talent was undeniable, and when she finally launched her brand, it didn't take long for her designs to catch the attention of Lagos elite. Nia, in contrast, had always been the quiet genius. She had grown up in a family where education was the key to success. Nia's love for technology started when she was just a teenager, and by the time she graduated from university, she was already making waves in the tech industry. As a software engineer, Nia's intellect was as sharp as her code, and she quickly rose through the ranks at a prestigious tech company. Despite their different paths, Zara and Nia were inseparable. They had been neighbors and best friends for as long as they could remember. They were the type of friends who completed each other's sentences, who spent hours chatting over coffee, and who shared both their dreams and their fears. The bright lights of Lagos might have dazzled them, but it was their deep-rooted connection that anchored them to the ground. Zara's apartment was a reflection of her vibrant personality, a mixture of bold colors, sleek furniture, and a sense of warmth that made everyone who entered feel at home. Nia's apartment, on the other hand, was more minimalist. Her space was filled with books, technology, and soft lighting, everything she needed to feel inspired while creating her next big project. Despite their contrasting styles, the two women found comfort in one another's presence. As the years passed, Zara's career took off, and her boutique became one of the most sought-after destinations for fashion enthusiasts in Lagos. Her designs were known for their bold colors, intricate patterns, and a touch of luxury that made them stand out. Zara was quickly becoming a household name, with her creations gracing the runway and catching the attention of international fashion icons. Nia, too, was making strides in her own career. At the age of 27, she was promoted to lead a major project at her tech firm. Her mind worked like a computer itself, processing complex algorithms with ease and solving problems that others couldn't even begin to fathom. Nia had always been the quiet achiever, the one who preferred to work behind the scenes, but her contributions were invaluable. Her project would eventually lead to a breakthrough in the tech industry, one that would set her firm apart from the competition. Through all of their successes, Zara and Nia remained each other's biggest supporters. Zara would often take breaks from her hectic schedule to help Nia unwind, and Nia would offer her technical expertise when Zara faced difficulties with her online sales platform. Zara was there to help Nia pick out outfits for meetings, while Nia encouraged Zara to take on challenges that pushed her boundaries. They celebrated every milestone together, from Zara's first major fashion show to Nia's recognition as one of the top engineers in the country. Their friendship was solid, built on trust and shared experiences. Even though their careers were taking them to new heights, they made it a point to stay grounded and present for one another. One evening, after a particularly successful event for Zara's fashion line, the two women sat on the balcony of Zara's apartment, overlooking the lights of Lagos. Zara was sipping her favorite glass of wine, while Nia stared out into the distance, contemplating her next move. "I don't know what I would do without you, Nia," Zara said, her voice sincere. "You've always been there for me." Nia smiled softly. "You've been my anchor, Zara. I wouldn't have made it this far without your support either." The city stretched out before them like an endless sea of lights, and in that moment, it felt as though nothing could ever come between them. But as the weeks turned into months, a subtle shift began to occur. Zara's career continued to skyrocket, while Nia's remained steady, though she had still not received the recognition she felt she deserved. It was during this time that Nia began to experience a feeling she had never truly known before: envy. At first, it was small. Nia found herself feeling a twinge of discomfort when people praised Zara for her latest fashion line. She was proud of Zara, of course, but there was something inside her that stirred when she heard others gush over her best friend's success. Nia began to compare her own achievements to Zara's. Zara had the fame, the recognition, the connections. Nia had the knowledge and the skills, but somehow, it didn't seem to be enough. Zara noticed the change in Nia, but she couldn't put her finger on it. Their conversations, once filled with laughter and excitement, now felt a little more strained. Nia's responses were more guarded, and Zara felt an unspoken distance between them. She couldn't understand it. After all, they had always supported each other, hadn't they? One evening, Zara invited Nia over for dinner at her apartment to catch up. Zara had just returned from a successful international fashion show and was eager to share her experiences with Nia. But as Zara spoke animatedly about her trip, she noticed that Nia's smile seemed forced. Nia's gaze wandered to the window, and her thoughts appeared distant. "Nia?" Zara asked, her voice soft with concern. "Is everything okay?" Nia blinked, snapping back to reality. She forced a smile. "Of course. I'm just thinking about work." Zara nodded, sensing that something was off but unsure of how to address it. She decided to let it go for the moment, but deep down, she felt a pang of discomfort. Something had shifted, and Zara couldn't help but wonder if she was losing her best friend. Zara's world seemed to be turning in an endless loop of triumphs and celebrations. Her name had become synonymous with high-end fashion in Lagos, and she was invited to exclusive events that took her to the brightest cities across the globe. Her designs were seen in international magazines, and her boutique was expanding into new markets. The life she had always dreamed of was finally within her grasp. But with her newfound success came exhaustion. Zara began to feel an overwhelming sense of fatigue, something that started to creep up on her subtly at first. At night, she found it harder to sleep. Her once boundless energy seemed to drain out of her, leaving her feeling empty and weak. She dismissed it as the result of her busy schedule, but as the days passed, the symptoms worsened. At first, it was just a headache, something she could easily ignore. Then came the nausea, followed by unexplained bouts of dizziness. Soon, she was throwing up blood. Zara was terrified, and the doctors, despite a battery of tests, couldn't explain what was happening to her. The once confident and vibrant fashion mogul now found herself lying in a sterile hospital bed, the very world she had fought so hard to build slipping through her fingers. Her colleagues and clients who had once praised her for her work now avoided her. Even her friends seemed distant. There was a coldness in the air, an unspoken tension that Zara couldn't fully understand. Despite her deteriorating health, Zara tried to push through. She still attended meetings, still oversaw her fashion line's operations, but she couldn't shake the sense that something was wrong, not just with her body, but with the people around her. It was during one of her darkest days that Nia called her. Nia's voice was laced with concern, a sharp contrast to the subtle tension that had been growing between them. "Zara, I don't care what's going on at work or with your projects. I'm coming over right now." Zara tried to wave off the concern, but Nia insisted. And true to her word, within an hour, Nia was at Zara's doorstep, a bag of herbs and natural remedies in her hand, having gone to a local healer in search of a cure. The act was a mix of desperation and love, but Zara could see the worry in Nia's eyes. For a brief moment, Zara wondered if Nia might have some insight into her situation. Could Nia know what was happening to her? But as Zara looked into Nia's face, she couldn't shake the sense that something was wrong, something far deeper than Nia's concern. As much as Nia tried to hide it, Zara felt the weight of the unspoken truth between them. Something was simmering beneath the surface. That night, as Zara lay in her bed, her body aching and weak, she had a terrifying dream. It was vivid. Nia was there, but her face was distorted, her expression twisted with envy. Zara woke up in a cold sweat, the vision still lingering in her mind. The dream felt like a warning. Could Nia be behind this? Could her best friend, the person who had been by her side for so long, be the cause of her misery? The next morning, Zara's fears deepened when she received a visit from a colleague who whispered rumors of a fall from grace. Whispers had started to spread about her sudden illness, about the mysterious reasons behind her declining health. No one could explain why someone so young and full of promise could suddenly fall ill, and yet all the signs pointed to something more than just bad luck. The days that followed were filled with confusion and suspicion. Zara grew weaker, but her mind was sharper than ever. She could feel the tension in the air, and as much as she wanted to ignore it, something kept pulling her back to the unsettling thought that Nia might be involved in her sudden illness. Zara tried to ignore her instincts, but they kept whispering to her. One evening, she could no longer keep the thoughts bottled up. She called Nia over for what would be an uncomfortable conversation. "Nia," Zara began, her voice trembling with the weight of her emotions. "I need to know the truth. What's going on? Is there something you're hiding from me?" Nia's eyes widened, and for a moment, she looked like a deer caught in the headlights. Zara took a deep breath. "You've been distant, Nia. More than usual. And now, my health is deteriorating, and everything is falling apart. I need to know, did you do this to me?" Nia's face drained of color, and for the longest time, she didn't say a word. Zara could see the guilt in her eyes, the struggle within her. Finally, Nia broke down, her voice shaking as she spoke. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," Nia confessed, her voice barely a whisper. I was jealous, Zara. I've been jealous of everything, your success, your beauty, the way people adore you. I couldn't stand it anymore. I went to a herbalist, and I asked for a way to make you suffer. But I never intended for things to get this bad." Zara's heart dropped as she listened to Nia's words. For the first time, she felt the weight of betrayal in its full force. The person she trusted most in the world, the person she had called her best friend, had been the one to cause her pain. "I don't know what to say, Nia," Zara replied, her voice barely audible. "I thought you were my sister. How could you?" Nia sobbed uncontrollably, the regret clear in her every movement. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't know what else to do. I thought I could be like you. I wanted your life." Zara sat in stunned silence, the reality of the betrayal sinking in. She wanted to scream, to lash out, but instead, all she could do was stare at the floor, trying to process what Nia had just revealed. She had trusted her with her secrets, with her dreams, and now, all of it seemed shattered. But Zara was a person of compassion, and despite the overwhelming pain, she knew that holding on to hate would only destroy her. "I can't forget this, Nia," Zara said softly. "But I'm not going to let you suffer alone. I will help you, but I need time. I need to heal from this." In the weeks that followed, Zara slowly began to recover. She no longer relied on the natural remedies or the herbal potions that Nia had brought. Instead, she focused on healing, physically, mentally, and emotionally. She didn't tell anyone about what had happened, but she couldn't ignore the pain of betrayal. Meanwhile, Nia's life began to unravel. Her guilt consumed her, and she found herself in a series of unfortunate situations. Desperate to regain Zara's trust and make amends, she sought out the same herbalist she had gone to before, asking for a way to undo the damage she had caused. But the healer refused, warning her that the curse she had placed upon Zara could never be reversed without consequences. It wasn't long before Nia found herself in deeper trouble. She was caught up in a dangerous scheme with a group of criminals who used their influence to manipulate people for their gain. Nia was now surrounded by people who didn't care about her or her past, and she realized too late that the path of jealousy had led her to a place she could never escape. Zara, despite everything that had happened, could not bring herself to leave Nia in her moment of crisis. She reached out to some of her connections, ensuring that Nia's involvement in the criminal activities would not lead to her downfall. Nia was given a second chance, but Zara's forgiveness came with a warning: "You need to change. I won't stand by you if you continue on this path." Time passed, and both Zara and Nia slowly rebuilt their lives. Though the bond between them had been fractured, neither woman could completely let go of the history they had shared. For Zara, it was a long and painful journey of healing, both physically and emotionally. Nia's betrayal had shaken her to her core, but with time, she began to realize that holding on to resentment would only hinder her growth. Forgiving Nia was a difficult process, but it was necessary if Zara was to continue moving forward. Zara's career, now fully back on track, took her to new heights. She continued to dominate the fashion industry with her bold designs, and her international success only grew. The city of Lagos was at her feet, but Zara's true joy came from the way her work had evolved. She no longer craved the superficial accolades or the praise from strangers. What mattered now was the deeper connection to her creations, her craft, and her own sense of fulfillment. One fateful day, Zara was invited to speak at a global fashion conference in Paris. She was chosen to present her work alongside the top names in the industry. Zara's passion for design shone through as she stood before an audience of hundreds, explaining her creative process and the vision behind her designs. This moment felt like a culmination of everything she had worked toward, and she knew that it was only the beginning. Back in Lagos, Nia found herself in a similar phase of rebuilding. The work she had done to sever ties with the criminals paid off. She cut all connections to the dangerous people she had once been involved with, distancing herself from the darkness that had almost consumed her. Zara's intervention had given her a second chance, and Nia wasn't about to waste it. But Nia's journey was not without its struggles. She spent months rethinking her approach to life, focusing on her career in tech and her passion for helping others. She began working with local organizations that promoted mental health in the tech industry, using her platform to address the stress and pressure that many young professionals faced. It was in these moments of self-reflection that Nia found her true purpose, not in competition with Zara, but in her own ability to make a difference. Despite the distance between them, Nia never stopped thinking about Zara. She knew she could never erase the pain she had caused, but she hoped that one day, they might reconnect on a different level, one built on mutual understanding and respect. She watched from afar as Zara's career soared, silently rooting for her friend's success. One day, a call came from an unexpected source, Zara herself. The conversation was brief, but filled with a quiet warmth that had been absent from their interactions for so long. "I heard about the work you've been doing, Nia," Zara said. "I just wanted to let you know that I'm proud of you. You've come a long way." Nia was silent for a moment, surprised by the sincerity in Zara's voice. "Thank you, Zara," she replied softly. "I never expected this. But I've learned a lot from everything that happened, especially about myself." "I'm glad to hear that," Zara said, her voice softening. "I know it hasn't been easy, but I hope you'll find peace." "I'm doing well, and I hope you are, too." There was a long pause before Nia spoke again. "Maybe, one day, we can catch up properly. Maybe when the time is right." Zara's response was simple. "I'd like that." As the years went by, both Zara and Nia continued their respective journeys. Zara's fashion empire grew even more successful, with stores opening in major cities around the world. But she had become a different person from the woman she had been when she first entered the industry. Her confidence was grounded in a deeper sense of self-worth, no longer reliant on external validation. She had learned that true fulfillment came from within, from the knowledge that she was living authentically. Nia, on the other hand, had built a thriving career in tech, becoming a leading advocate for mental health awareness in the industry. She was often invited to speak at conferences, where she shared her story of redemption and recovery. Her experiences had shaped her into a more empathetic and compassionate leader, and she found joy in helping others who were struggling with the pressures of the modern world. Though they had both faced great challenges, they had emerged stronger, wiser, and more grounded in their respective lives. Zara and Nia's relationship had changed, but the lessons they had learned from each other remained. One afternoon, after several years of silence between them, Zara and Nia found themselves in the same room once again, this time not as competitors or as people who had once been hurt by one another, but as two women who had come to understand the complexity of life. They sat down for coffee, the conversation flowing as if no time had passed. There were no more secrets between them, no more jealousy. Only the recognition that their bond had survived despite everything. Zara looked at Nia, her smile warm and genuine. "I never thought we'd be here, you know?" "I know," Nia replied, her voice filled with emotion. "But I think we've both learned that life isn't always what we expect. Sometimes, it's the challenges that help us grow the most." Zara nodded, her eyes thoughtful. "And sometimes, it's the people we least expect who teach us the biggest lessons." The two women sat in silence for a while, sipping their coffee and watching the city of Lagos hum with life outside the window. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the skyline. They both knew that life would continue to bring its ups and downs, but they also understood that the strength to face whatever came next was within them. And so, they walked forward, side by side in spirit, knowing that the bond they had shared, though tested and changed, was still there. Not bound by jealousy, but by the wisdom they had gained from their shared past. Jealousy is a silent poison. It can creep into the heart and destroy everything in its path, leaving behind nothing but regret. But forgiveness, redemption, and the courage to change can heal even the deepest wounds. True success is not measured by fame or material wealth, but by the ability to remain true to oneself, to learn from mistakes, and to build a future rooted in love, empathy, and self-awareness. Words have power, whether they are used to uplift or to tear down. Speak life, not death, and remember that the heart that forgives is the heart that truly lives. Thanks for watching. Do not forget